Hello and good morning. Welcome to 100 Yards of Football, Sports Talk Radio. I'm your producer, Jeremiah Long, and joining me to recap Pittsburgh versus Michigan State is our host, Mr. Logan Landers. How's it going, man?
Hey, what's going on, Jeremiah? College football is coming to a close, unfortunately, but hey, we got some amazing bowl games here. It's the Pittsburgh Panthers and the Michigan State Spartans duking it out in the Peach Bowl. I can't wait to talk about these two great teams and who I think is going to get the win in this one.
Absolutely. And for everybody watching from home, thank you so much for listening to us and watching us all across Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, and our podcast. It's because of you that we're here. And also make sure to follow us over on our Instagram. We have great Instagram coverage. We show clips, all the time from all of our current and past shows there too. So it's a great way to kind of get an idea of what shows we've got coming up or what we've already aired. So without further ado, Mr. Logan Landers, Pittsburgh versus Michigan State. How did they close out their seasons?
Man, so first off, both these teams had a really good 2021 season. Michigan State finished the year at a 10-2 record. Overall, a very good season, and they looked really good in the beginning. They fell off a little bit towards the end, but overall, still a very good day. They beat Penn State 30-27, and they looked really good this year. As for the Pittsburgh Panthers, they also had a very good season. Of course, Kenny Pickett was in the Heisman finalist, top three. They finished 11-2, and they had a really good year. Only 2 losses on the year. They beat Wake Forest on December 4th as their last win. So they looked really good, and now they're hoping to come and close out and get a big bowl win to cap off their 2021 season heading into 2022. So let's talk about Pittsburgh first, because this is the key factor. Is Kenny Pickett going to play? We don't know. We're not sure yet. He's unsure. And if he is, they got a good chance. If not, it's going to be tougher, obviously. So that's the thing we've seen in more recent years, Jeremiah, is guys who are going to declare for the draft, and we're assuming that Kenny might, they usually don't partake in these bowl games. They don't. They tend to sit out and because they don't want to risk getting injured and hurting their draft stock, and having to rehab, come back next season. And there's two coins to that. Some people are all on board for it, right? And then there's some people who are not a big fan of it. But they're like, you got your team to this bowl game, and then you're just not going to play. So that's always going to be how people are always going to be fighting about that. But if Kenny Pickett plays in this game, Pittsburgh has a very good chance of getting the win in this one. And with how he played this year with Pickett, I mean, how could you not put them as a good chance? Threw for over 4,000 yards this year. Just a really good season. Almost threw the ball 500 times. 42 touchdowns, only 7 interceptions. So not that bad. 67% completion percentage. And, I mean, when you look at it, we just talked about Bryce Young. Those numbers aren't too far off. It's just that they gave it to Bryce. He's in the SEC. They got that big win against Georgia. And, Kenny is a great player, and there's a reason he was a top 4 finalist for that Heisman Trophy winner. So I think that if he plays, they have a really good chance of winning. But they also have some really other good guys on that team as well. They got Israel, their running back. He's good. He ran the ball for over 600 yards, 7 touchdowns. Vincent Davis, over 500 yards, 4 touchdowns. And Rodney Hammond for 5 scores. So they have a good running game also. So they're not, even though they are more a passing team with Pickett, right? But they can still get the job done on the ground also. The receiving core, they're going to need to have a big game. And, of course, you got to look at Jordan Addison, their star receiver. 93 catches this year. Almost 1,500 yards right there. 17 touchdowns, and he averaged 15.9 yards per catch. So a big playmaker, definitely someone to watch out for, and someone I think is going to need to have a big game if Pittsburgh wants to win this one. Also, Jared Wayne right there with 5 touchdowns on the year. And Lucas Kroll, the tight end, has 6 scores for him with almost 500 yards of receiving. So they get the tight end involved. He can do a lot of good things. And with Addison and Wayne, you got a really good receiving core that Pickett through to the entire year. As for the defense, they have a pretty solid defense as well. As a team, they got 51 sacks this season. So they are not afraid to rush the quarterback and really hurt him. And they have a litany of guys who are going to get there. And I think that if, John Preston, Jordan Morgan, Kalai Casney, and Baldano, the defensive lineman, if they can get to the quarterback, all those guys have around 5+ sacks this year on the season, so they're going to really need to rush the quarterback and pressure him, and I think they can. They have a lot of really good guys who've gotten some good interceptions. John Preston, the linebacker, has 3. Eric Hallett has 3. Damari Mathis has 2. So they have some ball hawks in there in Pittsburgh. They've got 15 picks on the season, and overall their defense is no joke either. So overall, Pittsburgh has a very solid team. There's a reason, they were as dominant as they were this year. And I think that, a lot of people maybe slept on Pittsburgh, right? They didn't think they'd have this good of a season. And, here they are. They got the big, big win. And I think that with, Kenny Pickett and company and, they got the ACC championship and all that, I think they have a lot of momentum, and I think it's going to be a tough matchup for Michigan State. But let me move over onto the Spartans, right, and see how they have done. Like I said, they had a very good season. They were a top-ranked team at one point. They were in that college football playoff, right? And, man, they were so close to getting in there, but unfortunately they could not close it out. They had a few tough losses in the Big Ten. But overall, man, they had a very good season, and there's nothing to hold your head down about. So their team consists of a lot of really good players. Like I said, their quarterback is the man they got to go to, the one who needs to have a big game if he's going up against Kenny Pickett or the backup, and that's going to be Peyton Thorne, who also had a pretty good season. He threw for 2,866 yards, 60% completion percentage. 24 touchdowns, 9 interceptions, so not too bad. A pretty solid day. But the real key for them is Kenneth Walker III, a man who got a lot of Heisman chatter, did not get the win, I don't even think it was a finalist, but still a very good season. He ran the ball for 1,636 yards, 18 touchdowns. So we need to see, we don't know if he's going to play in this game either, because you got to see if your stars are going to be in the ball game. If not, it's going to be a little bit tougher for both teams, and if they are, then it's going to be a star-studded matchup. We just don't know yet. So that is their key to victory right there. Kenneth Walker, probably the best running back in this upcoming draft class if he decides to move on. But if not, they're going to have to go with Jordan Simmons, the backup running back. Ran the ball for 255 yards on the year. So we'll see. But Peyton Thorne, I'm pretty sure he's going to be in there. He's not afraid to run the ball either. He's got 4 scores on the ground. And watch out for the receiving corps. Jaden Reed, almost 1,000 yards catching this year. 8 touchdowns. Jalen Naylor, 6 scores for him. Almost 600 yards on 30 catches. So they've got a solid team. The defense needs to play tough, though. Xavier Henderson, 94 tackles for him. Darius Snow has 80. So they have a good team. As a team, they had 38 sacks. So they do get to the quarterback, but not as much as Pittsburgh does. Jakob Pashanuk needs to get to the guy. Needs to get to the quarterback. 6 sacks on the year for him. And then for the rest of the defense, they've got some interceptions. They have a lot of guys stuck at about 1 interception this year. And so we'll see who can come out on top and really help out on the defense side of the ball, because that's where it's going to be won, I think. Is, of course, the offense, you got all the high explosiveness, the fireworks, all the big players. But the defense is really crucial in these big games, in these bowl games. And I think that it's going to be a tough matchup overall. But if I had to go with a winner in this one, I think that if Kenny Pickett does play, this is just saying if he does, I think Pittsburgh will get the win in this one. I'll go with a score of 34-28. So we'll see. If he doesn't play, I think that Michigan will get it. I think Michigan will pull out the win. So I'm not going to give a final score for that, but I think that if Pickett plays, Pittsburgh wins. If he doesn't, I'm going to give it to Michigan State. It just all depends on who is playing in this bowl game and who's not. But I still think there's going to be a great Peach Bowl and a good way for both these teams to cap off the year, because they both had a very good 2021 season, hoping to move on to bigger and brighter things in 2022.
Absolutely. Yeah, and so as these teams finish out their seasons and they rock it out, I wish them best on both sides. It's been quite a wild ride, but thankfully we've had a fairly normal football season. So, shout out to both the teams, fan bases at Pittsburgh and at Michigan State. we're looking forward to seeing what you guys do, and we're just all very excited for everybody to have a great end of their season and for everybody to stay safe and just be there doing their thing. So for everybody watching on YouTube, Twitch, or Facebook, we really appreciate it. We appreciate all of the shares. We appreciate all of the information that you send to us to tell us what you like about the show every single week. And we also appreciate you telling all your friends and family about us every single week when you're hanging out, when you're having your family dinners, when you're with your coworkers, or just hanging out and just, trying to find something to do. You've been telling everybody, go listen to 100 Yards of Football. And if you're listening to our podcast, thank you again. But if you're just joining us on our podcast, thank you, but we need you over here. We've got this huge audience growing with our podcast. We want to have you over there enjoying our podcast morning, noon, and night. We have over 500 episodes for listening whenever that you have an extra break to jump in and listen. And another thing that's great about the podcast is you can set it up in the background. You can just be listening to it while you're going about your day, doing, some laundry, working on your computer, working from home, working from your office. We're a great people to keep you company and just keep it moving and talking about great sports history and great sports teams, current and past. So that's what we do here at 100 Yards of Football. And we really appreciate you joining us over on Spotify, Apple Podcast, or anywhere that you listen to podcasts. And that's just one of the biggest things we're doing right now. Make sure to drop us a review as well and tell us what is it that you love about the podcast. All of those reviews that you leave for us help us to grow and help us to get great feedback on what it is that we're doing with our podcast. Well, thank you so much for watching. This has been our Pittsburgh versus Michigan State setup game, so we can tell you all about what they're doing this week. With our host, Mr. Logan Landers, I'm your producer, Jeremiah Long. We'll be right back with another live episode.